everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Box. I'm over here wiping my eyes because they're running always. So I thought to myself, why put makeup on? I'm just going to sit here and my eyes are going to water. Doggone
See, I know
allergies
it's that
killing me.
mold. You got that
Telling you,
moldy. I think you do got mold in your
there's
house. I
mold in
do.
that wall.
I think so.
I've never had to live with mold before because I keep everything clean, but the inside of the walls I have no control over
Well,
at all.
you got that rain coming in that wall outside you. They won't fix and
Well, they finally fixed that after 3 years.
oh
Took
well,
them
they didn't clean the mold out though.
No, because they didn't open the wall. Took them 30
So
minutes to fix a problem I've been having for 3 years.
yeah.
That's sad. Very sad. So how you doing?
It's been a lot of mowing on the tractor and fixing fence and regular farm life,
Yeah,
sucking weeds.
sucking weeds for
Yeah,
days. Sucking weeds.
yeah, just got rid of poison ivy. So that's what happens when
Yo,
you're out there in the swamp area trying to. Well, it's not swampy now; it's dry, but that area has lots of poison ivy. So I just got over it because I get these homeopathic poison ivy pills.
yeah,
I took them last week. They're little tiny pills and cleared it right up. So thank God.
right. Hi, Monica. So, today, we're going to be talking about Lilith. Lilith. Oh, Lilith.
For all you, yeah, who don't know who Lilith is, she was Adam's first wife. Yeah,
Yes, she was.
not for long, right?
Nope. And she flew away because I guess grass was greener for her on the other side.
That's what she thought. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, yeah, it's crazy.
we are both kind of tired, aren't we?
We are. Yeah, it's been a long week, but we can make it. We can get through this. And it's been stressful with what's going on in our nation.
Oh my
With
gosh, yeah.
with Charlie and yeah, that's been I didn't even know him, Brenda. Before this
I've
happened.
I've watched Turning Point on Rumble for a long time.
Yeah, Roger says, "Hey, you know who Charlie Kirk got killed?" I was like, "Who's that?" You
Yeah,
know, and my son's like, "Mom, I watch him all the time. I really like him." I was like, "You do?"
yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, "Wow, okay." So I spent a lot of hours watching Charlie Kirk, and I really like him. You know,
Yeah.
I like him because he's the kind of person that tells the truth, whether you like it or not. He
Yeah.
tells his truth based on his faith in Christ.
Right.
And you got to give the guy credit for that because he doesn't back down to anyone or anything. So yeah,
The whole
pretty
the whole
amazing guy.
thing the whole thing is kind of strange and weird. There's a lot to it. Um, even some I know, but I can't say. But there's just a lot of
Yeah,
bad things. Either
yeah,
way, it doesn't look good. And some of these crazy people, oh my god, some of the things that they've been saying, I've been watching these guys going, wait a minute. Regardless, you know, I mean, a lot of things about it just kind of, I think that it's kind of funny because, I mean, not funny, funny, haha, funny, but just weird. There was a lot to everything that happened that unfolded. That
a lot of
is,
conspiracy, a lot of
Well, it's not only that, but I mean,
I mean, I've heard everything. I
they,
mean,
well,
every scenario of every story.
well, when
You know,
something like
everybody
this
runs.
happens, they don't usually let it continue rolling. They shut it down, and they
Well,
didn't
what I
with
mean
this.
is, like you hear all, you know, like, well, you know, apparently, you know, we know, you know, I know, everybody, a lot of people know. Charlie either had people that loved him or people that hated him. Okay, so the comments
Happens.
are all over the place. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you get I mean, it is crazy stuff. You know, I mean, now here's my take on it, Brenda,
Okay.
because I spent night after night after night, and I spent one night the other night. Um I pulled up every single person who was a witness that I could find that did any kind of YouTube on it or anything.
Right.
If you were a witness and you did something, I was looking at every single witness because you remember when JFK was shot. You
Yeah.
know, I went and met James Files and Pamela Files, and James is the one that took the headshot from the grassy knoll. And the thing about that was there were witnesses who heard the shot up on the grassy knoll and looked up there, you know, when it happened. And guess what? There were so
Mm.
many witnesses that were 20 feet, 30 feet, 40, 50 feet away, 10 feet away from Charlie. And here's what I found out. Every witness who was like looking at Charlie said, I was there, I was looking at Charlie. Some had their phones, some were just watching, you know. Um, and they said when they heard the shot, they looked this way. And then they looked back at Charlie because they heard the shot to their left. So that would be
Right.
Charlie's right.
Right.
And then they looked at Charlie, and this is consistent with all the witnesses that I've watched. They all and it's interesting how when you watch someone, you know, say, "Hey, I was there, I saw it," and then they'll tell you, I looked," and they'll actually look and turn their head while they're telling you, you know. So he said, "I looked," or they said, "I looked," we looked, you know, and then looked back at Charlie and saw the blood. Okay, so I watched another guy who was um, an expert with guns and military and stuff like that. And what he took out of the deal was that Charlie had gotten shot in the ear, um, you know, in his right ear. So everybody was looking to the direction, you know, that the where the gun would have been fired. And some of the videos had the actual sound of the gun, and everybody said it sounded like it was really close. Is what a lot of the witnesses
Right.
said.
Right.
And I listened to some witnesses that were far away. You couldn't even hear the gunshot like far away. It was weird.
No,
But
that's
down
right.
there in the yeah, down there in the crowd, you could hear it, and you could hear the kickback thing, like a you know like where it made that little second
Yeah.
noise. You could hear it, and so those people that were down there, you could hear that clearly. Now, one of the things that they were saying is with a bullet, say a bullet goes in the side of like in his ear, maybe the side of his head, it would it it would go through his neck, come out his neck, so that was the blowout hole.
Right.
Now he was wearing an earpiece in his ear that had a wire that was wrapped around on his chest, so that's what and his necklace brought his shirt up like that. He wasn't wearing any body, suit or anything like that. So it was the stuff that was on his ear and around his neck that caused his shirt, because you could see his nipples through the shirt, So he wasn't wearing a body vest. You could see that t-shirt, Now, and you could see the ear, but or the thing in his ear kind of go, and you could see that thing on his shirt too. I don't know if you could make that out, but but yeah. So anyway, the if you watch, when somebody gets hit, when you get hit or punched or hit with a baseball bat or you get shot, you always, like, whatever the force is hitting you, or you know you're going to move in that direction. So if you notice, he moved to the way his neck was.
Uh-oh. You froze up. Oh, great. You're not supposed to be talking about this. Hang on. Your reception's really bad. Ugh. I hate when she doesn't get any reception. You might need to go out and come back in,
And
Susie.
you can't hear me?
Okay, hang on. Your bars are going back
No,
up now. Nope. Your bars keep going all the way down.
no.
You keep losing reception.
What?
Yeah, you're okay
That's
now.
weird.
Yeah,
But you
maybe
okay?
might not.
All right.
You might not maybe be able to talk about this.
I'm gonna talk about this. Dang it! All right. So, uh, can you hear me? Okay, Brenda?
Yes, yes, I can hear you now.
No.
Yeah, I can
Yes.
hear you
Okay.
now.
All right. All right. So if you get hit with something, um,
Right,
you're gonna like move it away from where you're getting hit. So if you notice, he moves toward the bullet hole
right,
on the neck
yes,
because the force of the bullet or the force of the action causes him to
right,
go that direction.
right,
So that's my take on it. Um, there's you got three people that were there with guns that said they all did it or didn't do it or were part of it. So they were all decoys. Okay. So you have multiple people involved in this, basically. So good luck
right.
finding the shooter. He's in there
It'll happen.
somewhere, you know.
It'll
So, but
happen.
that's my take on it.
Hi, Rebecca. Yeah, you almost on time. You were. All right.
So,
So, what are we
all right.
doing about Lilith?
Now, that is our subject tonight. I did want to say that about Charlie and everything. You know, God help his family and everybody that's suffering for that. And I'm praying for all of them. You know, but on another note, our subject that we're talking about tonight is Lilith, the demoness or the night monster, is another you know coin for her name. The demoness, and she was Adam's first wife. Now,
Yeah.
here's my question, Brenda. Let me ask you a question.
Go.
Okay, so if Lilith, okay, so for people who don't know, the story according to the Jewish text, and it's in the Bible as well about Lilith, and there's lots of stuff on it. Even Gilgamesh talks about it. I mean, there's so many things. Even people reference Tiamat, the dragon female monster, even references something to the Lilith,
Right.
demoness, right? So and so there's all kinds of different references to it. So um, in the story, it says that the God in the Bible in that story, there's two chapters and there and two verses in Genesis. The first one says that God made Adam and his mate, and so they put both the dirt of the earth.
Uh
Okay,
oh.
and the interesting thing about that, what?
Oh, you were sounding like a robot there for a whole minute.
Uh
Are do
oh.
you? Is there a
So
storm
it
by you
says that
guys?
nope.
Huh.
Uh uh
Weird. Okay.
It shows I got all the bars and everything. I don't know. So um, it says that he made in the first section it talks about Adam and his wife were made from the dirt. Now the interesting thing about that is that, and according to all the writings, Adam was like a giant. Adam was huge. Okay, but if the earth was made from a giant, then if you take the earth and you make a person out of it, he would be like a giant, because that's the DNA of a giant, right?
Right.
They said, and he was 90 foot tall. That's what a lot of um, things say, that he was like 90 foot tall. And his first wife was Lilith, and she didn't want to be submissive to him because she felt she was equal to him, and
Right.
so she flew away. And then God sent three angels to go get her and bring her back. Now my question is, if you're God, this particular God that did this, if you're God, which my understanding is a lot of these gods that made Adam were Anunnaki gods. They were Sumerian gods, okay? So if you're God, then why would you want Adam to be married to a demon and have demon babies? I mean,
Well,
would you want to be married to a demoness?
I think that
Because
when
she
that
said she
was,
was created to kill children.
well, I think that Satan created her for children. But what I'm saying is, I think that when she was first Adam's wife, she wasn't created that way, but she left and went to Satan. So that's what made her that way. I don't think she was
No, I would have to
intended to be
disagree
that way.
because she, I would have to disagree because she said she was created to kill children.
I don't,
Okay,
yeah, well, I don't
and
think that means the same thing.
and here's the thing: she flew away, and he sent three angels after her. Right? These begins with S. I don't remember the weird names of these angels. Went to get her, well, and bring her back, but she refused to come back. Now, why would, when she's supposedly out here making demon babies, and it said, well, if you don't come back, we'll kill 100 of your demon babies a day. Now, why would you still want this wench to come back and marry Adam? Hail to the no on that. Okay, I'm just saying. Like,
Well,
knowing that she's a demoness, okay, I'm just saying, even after the fact, he was still trying to get her to come back. Okay. And she's like, nope. And so
well,
that was the deal, the trade
maybe
off.
now maybe they decided that they wanted her back so that they could destroy of her in a way to where she couldn't come back and cause any damage. But that didn't work because they couldn't get her to come back.
Oh, that sounds retarded. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, there had to have been a
I know.
reason why they wanted her
Come on,
back.
brother.
Maybe
No,
they could
well,
redeem
because they
her. I
made
don't
her,
know.
and well, maybe that was their plan to have demon babies. Okay, so it didn't work out like they planned. So according to the story, they turn around and, like, according to the Jewish text, they cloned Adam, and Eve was made from his bone, flesh of his flesh. Okay, so she was a
Right.
clone. Now, if you go to all the rabbis, they'll all tell you she is a clone. She was a clone. Okay, so that's. So now he has a cloned wife of himself or whatever, female. So, and then, but see, then the story goes on to say that these Anunnaki gods, um, they, their, their sons, these sons of God, these gods, these sons come down and they start sleeping with the humans. And the story goes to say that they raped Eve, and that's when Cain and Abel was born, his first murder. Okay, and so the other story goes in the Bible where Noah's father was a Sumerian was okay.
Uh, uh,
So you had Anu, who was the god. What?
you were breaking up a little bit there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Breaking
hear
up.
you now.
So you had Anu, who was the Anu was the god of the Bible, the Anu, the Anunnaki god. Then you had Enki and Enlil and Marduk. Okay, these were the other gods. Now these are the sons of God. So they come and they sleep with the daughters and they start having children. Okay, and so you have Adam. So in the story of Noah, Noah's father goes away for like a year and a half. It says it in the Bible. He goes away for a year and a half and he comes back, and his wife has a baby, and Noah, and Noah's got like red eyes, and he's just my kid. Okay, oh my kid. All right.
Your your
Well,
your
it's
signals
said clearly that these
your signal's been
messing up.
really bad.
Ah,
Yeah, I don't know why,
yeah.
but it's
Any
bouncing,
better?
bouncing,
I moved my
bouncing.
phone a little bit, but
Yeah, you're better now.
okay.
Yeah.
So you have these sons of God. The Bible says the sons of God. Okay, these gods um, are sleeping with the women or marrying these women, having kids, and so this is why it said that Enki, who was the father of Noah, wanted when the flood was coming, they wanted to make sure that he didn't drown, and so they saved Noah, and it was crazy stories. So I mean, you have all these crazy stories about these sons of God, and it's in the Bible. And then you have this other story, which this is I find quite interesting. The fact that Noah or that Adam was a giant, okay, made from the DNA of the earth mixed with the blood of these Anunnaki gods. That he was genetically made, that says, okay, according the Bible is a copy of the Sumerian text. So this is what they said, that they mixed their blood with the earth, okay, and this is how they came up with Adam,
Right.
okay, and Lilith, and then Eve was the clone. Okay, so these were where they came from. So there's a story in the Bible. It's in Joshua, and it talks about how Caleb and Joshua they were going to go to this. They left Egypt and they were going to the promised land that they were going to, and it said that they encountered um, the children of Anak, the Anunnaki, the children of Anak. They were giants, they said, and they said they were. I'm going to read it to you. Hang on. So let's see.
I got somebody over here
Okay.
chewing on my toes.
It says that we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who came from the Nephilim, and they were in our sight. We were like grasshoppers in their sight. So they're saying and the word Nephilim, um, it has its origin from Niflheim. Niflheim is home of the Nephilim, and that's where the giants came from prior to the Adam and Eve story. So that's why they were called the giants, and the earth was from a giant. And so that's kind of a part of history that they've tried to keep from everybody, what went on and where the giants, you know. But in the Bible, it says that they called it, we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak. So they were, um, Niflheim was a place. Heim means home. So the Nephilim were their origin, where they came from. Niflheim was there was two places. There was a fire and ice, and so when the fire melted the ice and the poisonous waters, the giants came from the melting of that ice from Niflheim. So that's the origin of the word Nephilim, where it comes from. So I thought that quite interesting, that the giants came from there. So you had giants prior, and it talks about there were giants in those days and before that. So the giants were before that, you know,
Rebecca
pretty
wants to
interesting.
know. Rebecca wants to know. What are you reading that from? Like where was
Um,
that found?
Numbers 13:33 in the Bible on that one.
Okay.
Now, it says that the Anak, the Nephilim, before the days of the flood, were the sons of God, often interpreted as fallen angels or divine beings. They took human wives, described as mighty men of old, men of renown, great giants. Okay. Um, while the Nephilim had a supernatural origin, the Anakim were physically large humans descended from the Anak. So we had a word called Anakim in the Bible, who are the descendants of the Anunnaki giants. Okay, so you have actually there's a ton of scriptures in the Bible about the Anakim and the Anunnaki giants, um, and the word Nephilim. Okay, now they descended from the Anak, a man known for his imposing stature. Um, Nephilim, the origin is in Genesis 6, describes the Nephilim as being in the earth in those days before the flood, when the sons of God often interpreted as fallen angels. In the Bible, Nephilim were mysteriously large individuals existing before the flood, while the Anakim were a larger separate race of giants who were descendants of Anak and inhabited Canaan. The Israelites encountered a formidable Anakim who they were told was related to the Nephilim, causing great fear because of their immense size and strength. Yeah. So
Hmm.
what we're gonna look at now is a story of Lilith and these Anunnaki gods. Okay, these Anakin Anunnaki giant gods who were creating mankind, um, and stuff genetically, right? And then some of their creations, basically, some of their offspring, should we say? Okay, so we'll go with the first video, and it's going to talk about Lilith and use biblical references so that people can look it up in the Bible.
Long before she was demonized in medieval folklore, Lilith lurked in the margins of scripture, some might say hiding in plain sight, depending on their translation. Though absent from most canonical biblical narratives, she emerges, briefly, yet provocatively, in Isaiah 34:14, a passage describing the desolation of Edom, where wild beasts and night creatures gather. In some translations, she is named explicitly Lilith, the night demon. In others, she vanishes entirely, replaced by owls, screeching creatures, or ambiguous monsters of the night. Why does her presence flicker between versions? Today we'll quite literally be hunting Lilith down through every translation of the Bible that we can find, exploring the linguistic, theological, and cultural reasons behind the shifting identity of this notorious she-demon.
It's never been easier to start a
And here we
podcast
go with the
than with
commercials
Riverside.
again.
Here's how it works. First, go to Riverside.
In the
hate those
Amplified
commercials.
Bible, an English translation of the Bible, authors sought to expand on the original text by providing additional information and context which would help aid the reader in broadening their understanding. It deliberately used English equivalents in place of the original Hebrew in the attempt to make the overall text more relatable to the English-speaking reader. With that, we do get a somewhat unique reading of Isaiah 34:14, and a reading that puts Lilith in the spotlight, if only momentarily. The creatures of the desert will encounter jackals, and the hairy goat will call to its kind. Indeed, Lilith, night demon, will settle there and find herself a place of rest. As we can see, this translation of the Bible showcases Lilith quite vividly. It assumes the reader doesn't know who or what Lilith is. How could they if they are only reading the biblical text? So it supplies in brackets the words night demon, establishing Lilith as a nocturnal nemesis. As we'll see with other translations, the purpose of the passage is to exemplify the ruin and desolation here at Edom, a place that becomes so forsaken by God that only the worst things can reside here, specifically the worst supernatural kinds of things. Considering Lilith is mentioned as finding herself a place to rest in this land, it speaks to how terrible of a creature that she was. For only a being of considerable depravity and waywardness could ever conceive the ruins of Edom as being a restful home. The downside of this passage, as is the case in other translations, is that it introduces us to Lilith and then essentially throws a sheet over her. We don't hear from Lilith again in any of the translations, nor does she play any kind of role in the subsequent scriptural narratives. This allows some commentators to argue that the use of Lilith in these translations should not be taken literally, but rather as a dramatic effect used by the author to convey just how bad it was here at the ruins of Edom, that night demons gathered here. Indeed, borrowing a creature like Lilith, whose origins are found in Jewish traditions and stem even further back into Babylonian times, has two effects. It creates a visual mood board for the reader to comprehend the godlessness that now plagued the land, but it also piques the curiosity, for better or worse, opening the rabbit hole of Jewish mysticism that some might say is counterintuitive for the reader to entertain. Interestingly, in the classical edition of the Amplified Bible, we don't see Lilith mentioned at all. Instead, the text conveys the desolation of Edom perfectly well without her, saying, "And the wild beasts of the desert will meet here with howling creatures, wolves and hyenas, and the shaggy wild goat will call to his fellow. The night monster will settle there and find a place of rest." Demons are not explicitly mentioned at all in this passage, but instead are swapped with the more traditional wild beasts. Wolves, hyenas, goats, things of a more corporeal nature, and certainly not belonging to the supernatural. A more realistic image of the ruins are portrayed here, although we are told that the night monster will settle here. As we've seen, the modern Amplified Bible designates this monster as Lilith, but the classical version leaves this far more open-ended. Lilith isn't mentioned at all, and it might be said that including an ambiguous night monster in this passage was more than enough for a classical audience to visualize something grotesque and terrifying. Therefore, the use of Lilith certainly seems to become a more stylistic choice by the authors and translators, something inserted to intensify the shock and horror of how bad Edom had actually become after God had abandoned it, and to trigger the reader into taking it more seriously. In the Common English Bible, yet another translation into English designed specifically for English speakers with accessibility and readability in mind, we see Lilith slipped into the passage almost casually. We are told, "Wildcats will meet hyenas, the goat demon will call to his friends, and there Lilith will lurk and find a resting place." In this translation, there are no brackets supplementing any further information about Lilith. We aren't told that she is a night demon, nor any other kind of creature. In fact, it's almost as if the translation assumes that the reader knows who Lilith is, and already knows of her terrifying reputation. Interestingly, we are told of the goat demon in this passage, possibly a reference to the Azazel goat, of which all sin is ascribed to in Jewish tradition, or perhaps a more modern linkage to Satan himself. As with the other translations, we are once again told that Lilith finds a place to rest here. Of all the finer places on earth to reside in, she chooses here, a station befitting of her foulness. In the Complete Jewish Bible, a translation designed for both Jewish and non-Jewish readers, names and key terms are returned to the more original Hebraic language and presented in an easy to understand manner, allowing the reader to say the words the way they were likely said in the time of their composition.
One of those crowns I have
there
here
we go. Yeah, you need
fell.
new teeth.
I put some like kind of a
There you go.
It's interesting then that by this translation, we see Lilith return again. Only this time, her identity is not supplemented with the words night demon, but instead the night monster. We are told wildcats and hyenas will meet there, and billy goats call to each other. Lilith, the night monster, will lurk there and find herself a place to rest. Indeed, her name is spelled slightly different, with the H being dropped to form Lilith. What's more interesting here is how this translation unintentionally conflates with the translation of the Classical Amplified Bible, specifically identifying Lilith as this ambiguous night monster that haunts the ruins of Edom. In the Darby translation, a new translation by John Nelson Darby, a principal figure in the nonconformist church movement of the Plymouth Brethren, focused more so on a highly literal translation of the New Testament in 1867. However, the Old Testament passages, including that of Isaiah, weren't completed until after his death by his students as late as 1882. In this translation, we are told of the significance of Lilith through the definitive article the. Yet this can also be argued against in the same passage. We are told, "And there shall the beasts of the desert meet with the jackals, and the wild goat shall cry to his fellow. The Lilith also shall settle there, and find for herself a place of rest." Firstly, by use of the definitive article the in the Lilith, it gives us the impression that Lilith was a prominent creature. This wasn't just the name of the creature, it was a title assigned to her that might represent an even greater wickedness. It also suggests that Lilith was well known. There are no brackets or parentheses supplying us with additional context, but rather the text appears to assume that we would know who this Lilith was. To counter this though, you might have noticed that the use of Lilith here is uncapitalized, further leading to the idea that this was not a name, but perhaps more of a title or some kind of moniker. In a way, you might argue that it also reduces her significance somewhat. You might say that Darby implies here that she isn't important enough to be individualized with even a name, surely not one that ought to be capitalized. And with that in mind, it lessens Lilith, redefining her as a footnote. The adverb also, as in Lilith also shall settle there, furthermore gives the impression that Lilith was an afterthought. Indeed, it reads as if Darby kind of forgot that she was even meant to be in this section, and sort of just added, "Oh yeah, Lilith was also there." In the Douay-Rheims Bible, a translation from the Latin Vulgate into English by members of the English College in Douai, France, we are told not of Lilith specifically, but rather a creature one might expect to find in Greek mythology. We are told, "And demons and monsters shall meet, and the hairy ones shall cry out one to another. There hath the Lamia lain down and found rest for herself." We know from ancient Greek tales that Lamia was a figure often depicted as a beautiful woman, but also one who was something of an evil temptress, who was known to lead men astray and then devour them. She was also believed to be depicted as
Isn't that like a mermaid? I would think.
Well, this, I think, I mean, she could probably be like that. I mean,
Well, mermaids
you
aren't
know,
aren't good anyways, so
no, right? Yeah, and they're what is it? What do they call the sirens or the ones that
sirens.
lure the men? Yeah,
Yes.
with their beauty, and then they kill them. Yeah,
Yep.
because that's
Yeah.
what Lilith does. She kills. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Talk about a
And
bad
well,
a bad
if you
date.
well, what he's alluding to is kind of like the word Lilith isn't actually the being's name, but it's the type of monster that it is, I guess, the Lilith, right? And so in some stories they say Hel, Loki's daughter, is Lilith. So she is, and that comes from a giant from Niflheim. Okay.
Right.
So and then they say the Lilith. So there's many of them. So there's probably, like, she was having, she was, okay, look, my question is, because I haven't been able to locate how many babies she was actually having per day, because it said that
What?
she married Satan. She married Satan,
Right.
and she was collecting sperm. She's supposed to be a succubus, incubus. She can be male, female. She can look like a reptilian. You see the serpent?
Yeah.
And she goes at night and she steals the sperm from men, or she steals eggs from women, and she mixes it with her own somehow, and she has all these demons. She gives birth to all these demons. So how many, if they're killing 100 a day, how many is she actually giving birth to?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well then. Okay, back to
could be
this.
many of these monsters. Yeah, many of
That's
these
way.
night monsters. Yeah,
I love children, but that's way too many for me.
yeah.
100 a day, and then some.
That's how many they killed. That's not how many she had. They don't tell you how many she actually was giving, how many monster babies she was having,
Oh
which could
wow.
be the sirens, could be the Lamias, could be the Liliths, could be the, all the female demoness succubuses out there. Could be that she could be having 1,000 a day for all we know, or I don't know how many demons she's producing.
Talk about a swinging door, huh?
Yeah,
My goodness. All right.
As a child-eating monster, a characteristic she also shares with Lilith in the Babylonian legends, where Lilith, sometimes conflated with the demoness Lamashtu, was believed to hunt both infant children and those who were still in the womb. Much like Lilith, this Lamia could also be considered as a night spirit, or at least a creature who lurked in the darkness, waiting to strike against the vulnerable. Indeed, it's true to say that there are many similarities between Lilith and Lamia, and it's entirely possible that the former inspired the creation of the latter. Nonetheless, it's an interesting choice of monster to slot into this translation. Sure, Lamia sounds like the sort of creature that would fit right in amongst the ruins of Edom, but it sounds like it would be better suited towards a Greek audience, perhaps something we'd expect to find in the Septuagint. In the International Standard Version of the Bible, we are shown something unique and perhaps slightly more terrifying than the previous translations have to offer: the idea of multiple Liliths. We are told, "And the desert creatures will meet with hyenas, and goat demons will call out to each other. There also, Liliths will settle and find for themselves a resting place." The pluralization of Lilith here gives us the notion that this was not one single entity, but rather many of the same type of creature who had come to gather in the ruins of Edom.
Have you ever wanted to see your home from space? With this free satellite
Can't see
Earth
your
Maps
home
tool,
from
you can
space,
zoom
people.
right down to
Just
your
saying.
exact.
Such a concept existed in Babylonian superstition, where it was believed the demoness Lamashtu would employ her spirits, the Lilitu and the Lilu, notice how these sound quite similar to Lilith, and use them to bring ill will against pregnant women and young children. These spirits, who were immeasurable in number, were also known to spread diseases, seduce men in their sleep, and cause general terror upon the household. These creatures, it was believed, originated and roamed in the desert, so there was certain caution to heed when one was travelling through such a region, not just against the landscape and the elements themselves, but indeed of these supernatural assailants. With that in mind, it makes sense why the translators of the International Standard Version used these creatures, seemingly rebranding them as Liliths in an effort to illustrate how forlorn a place like Edom had now become. It might also be of interest that in the footnotes of this translation, the Liliths in this context are explained as being desert demons of the night. In the Lexham English Bible, we are given another look at Lilith, with the authors seemingly suggesting that whilst they cannot be sure if Lilith was there, it's likely that a creature like her would be found there. We can determine this by the use of the adverb surely, which gives us the impression that the authors were pretty certain that this was the original intention of the text. Surely, there Lilith shall repose, we are told, which kind of makes me think that they were aware of the differing opinions surrounding the passage, and were throwing their lot in with those who advocated for Lilith. Surely she must have been there, the text seems to echo, and in that sense, it almost comes across as conversational. In any case, the full passage reads, "And desert creatures shall meet with hyenas, and a goat demon shall call to his neighbour. Surely there Lilith shall repose, and she shall find herself a resting place for herself." Interestingly, in the footnotes of this translation, we are told that the use of Lilith here was likely a Hebrew transliteration, possibly a former name for a Mesopotamian night demon. So once more, this is congruent with previous suggestions, such as the International Standard Version, where Lilith is identified less so as the woman, who in Jewish legend was Adam's first wife and subsequently the mother of demons, but instead with the Lilitu of ancient Mesopotamian legend. In the translation by American minister Eugene Peterson, which is more of a paraphrasing of scripture than it is a strict translation, we are told of some interesting tidbits concerning Lilith's character. The night demon Lilith, evil and rapacious, will establish permanent quarters. Here Lilith is explicitly expressed as a night demon, no, the night demon, further emphasizing her reputation. She, as if it needed saying, is evil and rapacious, leaving little to no room for speculation regarding her character. It is here in the ruins of Edom that she establishes not only a resting place, but her new permanent residence, perhaps the only place in the world grim and dark enough to suit her. Whilst it provides a near enough accurate representation of the biblical events, some readers have criticized Peterson's Message translation, saying that it has too much in the way of interpretive bias to qualify as a legitimate translation. With that in mind, it's plausible that some would dismiss his passage of Isaiah as over-embellishment, or accuse him of shoehorning in this evil and rapacious Lilith simply because her name or title is used in other translations. In the revised edition of the New American Bible, we are told of a similar version to the Lexham English Bible, where it is said, "There shall the Lilith repose, and find for herself a place to rest." As we can see, the verb repose makes a return, allowing us to gather that Lilith truly did find these ruins in Edom to be a more than satisfactory place to reside in. Another commonality is that the revised edition of the New American Bible doesn't capitalize Lilith's name, much like the Darby translation, giving us the impression, once again, that this was less a name and more of a title. Perhaps it's also a way in which to dehumanize the character, she who, according to Jewish legend, was once the first woman who willingly transitioned into a demon. Whilst this revised edition of the New American Bible specifically mentions Lilith, the standard version of this Bible refers to this creature in the same way many other Bible translations do, as a night bird. We'll go into more detail about this later on, but there are efforts to further conflate Lilith with this night bird, on the basis that Lilith was once considered to be a creature that was part woman, part demon, and indeed part bird. One of these ideas stems from the Burney relief, a terracotta plaque discovered in southern Iraq that depicts a woman with wings and bird feet, believed by some scholars at the time of discovery to be a representation of Lilith. Modern scholars debate this, however, suggesting that the relief might actually be indicative of the Mesopotamian goddess Inanna or Ereshkigal. In any case, if this was a depiction of Lilith, her bird-like characteristics certainly lend to this interpretation of her being this night bird, perhaps a screeching owl as described in other translations. In the New Catholic Bible, we are given a somewhat different take on this night creature. We are told, "There too the nightjar will return to rest, and find a place for repose." Evidently, Lilith is not mentioned at all here, and is instead substituted for this nightjar. Now, it's unknown what exactly is meant by this, but as we know from dig sites of ancient Mesopotamia, people did indeed use incantation bowls and ornaments to trap Lilitu and Lilu, should these sorts of demons have entered their home. Indeed, several of these incantation bowls appear to even depict Lilith herself, with spells and symbols written around said depiction, enclosing her, it would seem. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to suggest that this jar is in reference to the aforementioned bowls and ornaments that were historically used in defense against such notorious monsters. The New Revised Anglicized version and the New Revised Anglicized Catholic edition both echo the Lexham English Bible and the New American Bible, telling us quite predictably, there too Lilith shall repose and find a place to rest. The Orthodox Jewish Bible, meanwhile, goes the same route as the complete Jewish Bible, referring to Lilith as Lilith, telling us, and Lilith, night creature, dwells there and finds for itself a place of rest. In this version, we are again supplemented with further details, where the text tells us that this Lilith is a night creature. Unlike the complete Jewish Bible though, the Orthodox Jewish Bible does not capitalize the name of Lilith, once more lessening her significance and individualism. You might also notice that this version further attempts to dehumanize Lilith, by not even personifying her, referring to the creature as an it, as opposed to a her. In The Voice, a biblical translation published in 2012 that serves as a dynamic equivalent of the Bible, with a modern narrative approach, we are given perhaps the most vivid and scathing account of Lilith thus far, one that pegs her firmly as a demoness. We are told, among the howling and hissing wild creatures and demons, Lilith herself, demoness of the night, will call Edom her haunt, a place to recoup and rest between her devastating days. This is probably one of the only biblical translations that uses the word demoness to describe Lilith, despite being known as the mother of demons in greater Jewish folklore. In a way, it's almost as if the original authors and translators were too coy to make this connection, and perhaps didn't want to promote such a character in a passage that wasn't meant to be dedicated to her. Demoness of the Night also comes with its own set of connotations. Suddenly, this Lilith is symbolic of some dark and wicked power, something that, to be honest, is only intensified because of how reticent the original authors are, by never mentioning her again. Much as the case with other translations, Edom becomes her home, the only place dank and dismal enough for her to willingly reside in. Meanwhile, in the Wycliffe Bible, we find ourselves confronted by the same creature in the Dway Reams Bible, Lamia. What's compelling about the Wycliffe Bible is that it was the first complete English translation from Latin, making it widely available for the first time to an audience beyond the clergy. In this translation by English philosopher John Wycliffe, we are told, Lamia shall lie there, and find rest there to herself, and fiends and wonderful beasts, like men in the higher part, and like donkeys in the lower part, and hairy all over, shall meet, and one shall cry to the other. The Lamia shall lie down there, and shall find rest there for herself. It's interesting that with the opportunity to introduce English speakers to the Bible for the first time, back in the 14th century, Wycliffe chose not to introduce us to Lilith, nor a night bird or a screeching owl, but to the Greek Lamia. For every translation I haven't mentioned, specifically the more well-known New International and King James versions, you'll find that the overwhelming majority refer to this creature at Edom as either a night monster, a night bird, or a screeching owl. The New International Version doesn't entertain the concept of Lilith at all, but rather omits her and refers to the more ambiguous night creatures exclusively, giving us the idea that these were some kind of malevolent creatures that were nocturnal in nature. The King James Version, amongst others, refer to the creature as a screeching owl, which independently might not give us the same reservation as, say, the demoness found in the Voice translation. However, as you'll remember, we have seen how various translations have attempted to connect Lilith to the night bird, giving her associated characteristics to that of a bird. And because an owl is pretty much a nocturnal bird, the screeching owl can be seen as code for Lilith by some readers. What's more, the verb screeching allows for the connotations of a woman wailing. Screeching isn't the sort of sound we'd normally associate with an owl, but rather hooting. So while some readers might consider it a stretch, there are those who use this as justification that the screech owl was in fact Lilith. One of the more unique translations when it comes to Isaiah 34:14 is that of the original Revised Standard Version, where we see this creature described not as
That's
Lilith or Lamia,
right
but
there.
as a night hag. We are told,
Night hag?
"Ye, there shall
Night
the night
hag.
hag alight, and find for herself a resting place." We know from Babylonian legend that Lilith and associated creatures were responsible for attacking men in their sleep. Lilith and her cronies were believed to infiltrate dreams and could effectively entice men into sexual activity, or worse, take them by force. This would become the initial basis to explain away nocturnal emissions, or wet dreams, but by medieval times, it had become the role of the succubus, yet another creature closely associated with Lilith, who would descend upon men with the sole purpose of stealing their seed and using it to birth her own children, those who would be half human and half demonic. These sorts of accounts of men being attacked in their sleep or sexually assaulted by demons became fairly common, not just across
Sounds like alien
Mesopotamia,
abduction.
but in cultures throughout the world. By modern times, such experiences were explained away by sleep paralysis, where the victim is certain that they're awake, but are paralyzed and unable to move. In this state, the victim is believed to experience wild, almost hallucinatory phenomena, where they are haunted by various creatures and monsters. What's particularly interesting about these cases is that the night hag, usually an old, ugly woman, is reported as entering the room and either sitting on top of the victim or attempting to strangle them. While science does its best to explain away this phenomena as an overactive imagination or a dream state, it is interesting that people as far back as the Babylonians were seeing this same night hag, even if it was just a case of sleep paralysis.
Only thousands
Could
of
this
years.
night hag, mentioned here in the Revised Standard Version, be a shoo-in for Lilith, who, having gained certain notoriety
that looks
in the
like
dream she
Penny.
had played, had earned her place in the Bible as a legitimate threat? Those who suffer from sleep paralysis might sympathize with such a hypothesis. In tracing the shifting presence of
thought.
Lilith through the many translations of Isaiah 34:14, one finds not just a variation in wording, but a deeper reflection of theological intent, of how desolate Edom had become, and how it could be of certain caution to readers. Where some translations name her outright, preserving the enigmatic Lilith of the Hebrew text, others obscure her beneath terms like screech owl, night creature, or night monster, each choice revealing as much about the translator's priorities as about the text itself. Lilith's presence, when allowed to surface, introduces a figure steeped in ancient myth, demonology, and the darker corners of Near Eastern imagination. Her absence, by contrast, speaks to a long tradition of sanitizing or simplifying uncomfortable ambiguities within scripture. Whether named or not, Lilith haunts Isaiah 34:14 as a symbol of chaos, exile, and the untamed wiles of a woman who, according to Jewish folklore, escaped Adam, escaped the Garden of Eden, and most importantly, escaped and denied the Almighty God. Her legacy, dark and worrying though it might be to traditional readers, endures not only in the religious folklore, but in the editorial decisions made by translators, who have, for whatever their reasons, kept Lilith alive.
Whatever
As always,
their
guys,
reasons.
if you've enjoyed
whatever their reasons. Well, hello, Norma. She come in there swinging. Well, that looks like Penny.
Oh my goodness.
That was pretty funny. So, um, our takes on that basically, you know, like Abe talks about how you get the, oh, what does he call them? The lechuzas. And they are like half woman or witch and half owl. So I
There you
guess
go.
that would
Same
put
thing.
her, yeah, in the same category.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds exact.
Sounds about right. So maybe
Sounds
we
like
need to,
a bit of a shape shifting
yes,
demoness. Yeah.
yes, that's what he says.
It's like those old stories where the old hagged witch shapeshifts into something else, but she's the old hag, and that's what, sounds like, they're calling this thing the hag, you know?
uh,
Yeah,
she's
I had a.
Norma's on one tonight. She says I was doing dishes, something Penny doesn't do. Norma, Norma, Norma.
That's funny.
She's all in it today. That's hilarious.
So I had a couple encounters with Lilith actually, and
Uh-oh.
yeah, it was or Ada Lilith or whatever it was, right?
Hi, Brent.
And it was kind of weird. The one was I was asleep, and she and I'm pretty sure well, it was Michael Aquino. She and Michael Aquino took me out of my body. Like had I was like asleep in my body, so I was, it wasn't like paralysis, but I was actually levitated out of my body, and I think they were trying to take some eggs from me. That's what it felt. I think that they were going to do that. They were going to take some eggs from me. And have you ever had dreams, where you're in your dream, you're having a baby or you're having babies and you're like, what? You know, I
No,
mean, you never
I
had
mean
dreams? A lot of people have.
I have weird dreams, but never like that. Yeah.
You never had a baby in a dream that you don't remember, like you dreamed you were pregnant or having a child, or never had anything like that. A lot of people have. So, but anyway, so they were trying to take some eggs from me, and I like they were I was like floating above my body, and he was over here and she was above me, and I don't know what they were doing because they just got there and they just pulled me out of my body, and I had a guardian angel with me, and I reached over and grabbed him and flew out of my room really fast. I ended up in this cave, and she had this huge cauldron that she was mixing stuff, and that's probably what she was making, was taking the sperm and the eggs of humans and mixing it with herself to make these demon babies, because that's what it was. Something was in it. Was like this pot had this huge cauldron. I mean, it was like, I'm talking like big cauldron, big giant
Wow.
cauldron, and she was standing behind it in this cave, and so I fly up to the cave, and the angel did not go in the cave with me. Imagine that. He didn't want to go in the cave. So, but I go in the cave. I go in the cave and I see the cauldron and I see all the stuff in the cauldron, and I get really mad and I kick it with my foot, and it spills over, and it like pours out all over the ground, all over like where her feet are, just pours out.
Susie froze up again.
I froze up. Oh my god! What part did I get my story out? It,
Something about the cauldron. She froze up on. Did she do it again? No. Okay. Go ahead.
yeah.
I can hear you now.
Okay, what part did
You
did
said
you not
something
hear?
about the cauldron, and then you cut out.
Froze.
Yeah.
So there was a giant cauldron, and my angel stayed outside the cave. Wouldn't go in, of course. I went in the cave, and I kicked the cauldron over, and the whole cauldron tipped over and spilled all over the ground. Whatever was in there spilled all over the ground, like all over her feet. And I looked at her and I said, "Don't you ever mess with me again." And then I went back to my body and woke up. And I'm like,
Oh.
"Oh my God, what was that?" So, and then there was another time that we were talking in the living room, and it was me and Roger, and Joel was in his room, and this giant green, nasty looking, smelly, nasty mist was outside of Joel's bedroom, and it came through his window. This green mist came through his window, over his bed, came down the hallway, and we could smell it. It was Lilith. And it came in the living room, and it smelled like burnt plastic, like awful, like the worst burnt plastic you could ever smell. Like it was hard. And she went into my kitchen, and then she like flew out the door of my. She flew out the door, like through the door, and left. And I was like, "Oh my God," because we were actually, I think, talking about her, and she showed up, and then I had another. I had a guy. He was a Christian, and him and his girlfriend, they came to stay with me for a little bit, and I had a dream that he had the spirit of Lilith with him, and I told him, and he didn't believe me. And then later he told me, he said, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, it's true, you're right, I did have it." Like he knew, like I don't know, I don't remember the exact story, but yeah, I mean she haunts people, and she's real. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
what
wouldn't.
the huh?
I was gonna say, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that is what it is that Abram's into.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
she a lot of people have had, and then I had another dream of her, and in this dream, she I was standing behind these church pews, and she looked like a man. Like she can become, she's incubus succubus. She can shapeshift male or female.
Right.
She can become anything she wants. So I looked at her, and you know that movie Starsky and Hutch. Remember that show, Starsky and
Yes.
Hutch?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't remember the one, but the guy with the blonde hair. Do you
Yeah.
remember the guy with the blonde hair?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was Starsky or Hutch. I don't remember.
Hutch.
But she looked like him. Like she took on his look, and she was sitting in a church pew.
Of
She
all
looked like him,
people.
so she would like. Well, that's what people say. Like she can come into your dream and look like a certain guy if you're a girl, or she can look like a certain girl if you're a guy. Might be like you might see Angelina Jolie or something. You know what I mean? She can take on the shape of anybody she wants, male or female. Okay, and deceive you, right? So she'll come in. That's why the old hag, like the witch, she looks like
Right.
so she does. That's not what she looks like. It's like a hologram. Hologram. Like they say the reptilians do that, right?
Right.
So same kind of thing. So she'll come in, and she looked like the blonde hair guy. And I was looking at him, and he gets up and he walks off, and it turns into the female as it walks out of the room, and it go from male to female. And then when she turned her head to look at me, she had like a reptilian face, like it was horrible. And I was like, "Oh my God, she's a monster!" Like she can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think she takes on different forms, and but she's a demoness. Oh, it's creepy. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, creepy,
Well,
creepy.
especially if she's gonna shape shift that many times, before she even gets out of the room. Now
And
you have some
huh?
short ones on here too, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead, play the next one.
Okay. Yeah, because I think these are shorts. Shorty shorts.
Okay.
Let's see.
One of history's most captivating and terrifying myths. What if the first woman wasn't Eve, but a being so beautiful and powerful she became humanity's greatest enemy?
Well, we know that.
We're diving into the legend of Lilith. According to ancient rabbinic texts, Lilith was the very first woman created just like Adam, but from filth and sediment. Despite this, she was said to be the most breathtaking woman ever conceived. But her beauty hid a fierce spirit. She immediately clashed with Adam, refusing to be subservient, especially during intimacy, proclaiming her independence. When Adam tried to force her, enraged, Lilith uttered God's unspeakable name and flew away to the Red Sea, where she embraced a demonic existence, spawning hundreds of demon children known as Lilim daily. From then on, Lilith became a vengeful demoness, preying on Adam's descendants. She's infamous for attacking sleeping men with seductive dreams, and most chillingly, strangling newborn infants to death, fueled by a divine punishment that kills 100 of her own demon children daily. Parents once protected their newborns with angelic amulets or charcoal rings inscribed with Adam and Eve, out Lilith. It's even believed Lilith's thirst for blood and flesh inspired the Lemmy, making her, indirectly, the mother of all vampires. While her story might have roots in confused historical accounts, Lilith's terrifying legacy as a seductress, infanticide, and the ultimate defiant woman has permeated cultures for millennia. Think you know all about biblical lore? Lilith proves there's so much more darkness hidden in plain sight. What other ancient myths should we explore? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe.
So I wonder if. Okay, so if she's like the succubus, so I wonder if somebody is being attacked by her, if they called her out by her name. I wonder what would happen.
You could rebuke her, yeah, to tell her to get out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it said that what he said was she was having hundreds of demon babies. Hundreds. So they didn't say thousands, they said hundreds.
I don't. Wow.
So she's out there making more Lilith, more Lilim, or whatever.
Yeah, Lilim.
More Lilims.
Lilims.
Yeah. Lilims.
Wow. Wow. I'm not even sure that that's a really good idea. You running around having that many babies.
Yeah, so they can attack people in their sleep, and yeah.
So is that what she's making? She's making a succubus?
Well, that's what a succubus and incubus does, you know.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. And they do, because I've heard them say that when they show up, they look like beautiful women. Their beauty captivates, people to feel comfortable. But I'm sorry, if I'm a guy and a beautiful woman shows up at my house, I'm going to automatically think there's something wrong. Okay? What are you doing here? How'd you get in here? Who are you? I mean, those are going to be questions. There would be questions. Definitely. So that's ridiculous. Right? So, what were the other ones that you sent me? I didn't get to see all of them. I think we're on the third one down.
Okay, go ahead and show that one. I think it's another short, right?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Told you that the sworn enemy of Israel are the offspring of the goddess Lilith.
Okay, wait, that's the sworn enemies of Israel?
Yeah, Israel is not a place, it's Jacob.
Right.
It's a person.
Yeah. Jerusalem is a place.
Let's dive into the Amalekite bloodline. In my first studies of the Amalekites, I found that the name itself, Amalek, refers to a people who lick the blood. And through various different cultures, they are referred to as shape-shifting sorcerers, often taking forms as werewolves or vampires. I found that very interesting, so I continued to dig deeper and I found something else. that Aleister Crowley actually wrote about the Amalekites and called them the Qliphoth. In multiple occult doctrines, such as the Zohar and the Kabbalah, the Qliphoth are dark and malevolent entities. The Qliphoth are also associated with shape-shifting and changeling entities. Now, the direct mention of changelings really sparked my interest. Upon further research, I did some digging into Lilith, and I found that her offspring are literally changelings. I also found that she is married to the fallen angel Samael, and what's interesting about Samael is he is theorized to be the devil in the Garden of Eden that took the form of a serpent to basically make Adam and Eve fall. So when you look at the defeat of the Amalekites, you can immediately tell that there is a spiritual warfare just as present as the physical one.
Wow.
That
So,
was pretty interesting.
yeah, well, she was just digging along, wasn't she?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, quite a few of these are little shorts that you sent. I think there's only 2 left.
Okay.
Two, I think. 2, I think. I think.
All right.
Norma, what are you doing? Are you running around making movies? We missed you, Norma. I haven't seen you for a while. All right.
And this is where it gets somewhat unbelievable. He said there was a table 6 or 7 feet tall, a chair about 5 feet tall from where you're sitting, and on that chair was a giant red-headed male that, if I recall right, he said that his head was slouched down on the table and his head was resting on the table, and there was an old parchment there. On this old parchment, there were drawings of other caves in the Caballos, and in particular, he noticed that there was one cave that went from the Caballos all the way over to the San Andres, and he thought that was pretty strange. But then knowing about the Doc Noss store in Orange Swearingen, et cetera, he put 2 and 2 together.
So they have a catacomb for giants?
Well, you've heard a lot of indigenous people here in the States saying, the giants were in the caves and stuff, as well as over in the Middle East. So everywhere on the planet, these giants have been coming out of these caves, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Doggone it. I hate when that happens. These ones that are different. All right. Let's see. Oh. There's this one.
We need to talk because I think I found some really weird connections that are relevant to the end times, the blues, Catholicism, and the Nephilim returning. I don't even know what to call this video. I'm just going to start showing you things, and some of them might blow your mind, or at least they blew my mind. This is your trigger warning. If you are easily offended, this video is definitely not the video for you. This page is about seeking truth regardless of feeling. So I don't want to hear it in the comments. I warned. So I've talked about in the past that I grew up Catholic. It turned me atheist. I felt like it was dark, laced with witchcraft, decided there was no God, and my heart hardened over time. Well, since then, I've been trying to figure out what it is about Catholicism that is so dark. Outside of the obvious, like the fact that it's called Roman Catholicism. So I've addressed a lot of the basic things in past videos. So I got this book on Marian apparition sightings and like a history of Mary, and almost all of the statues and images have 6 fingers or 6 toes on at least one limb, which is characteristic of the Nephilim. And I believe that the saints are actually the Nephilim. So I was just in Greece and I went to the Athens Archaeological Museum, and it's basically a museum of like the gods. Like you can clearly tell that this was a time when the Nephilim were on the earth. All of the female statues look exactly like Mary. And coincidentally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like in my Marian apparition book. I went to an ancient Catholic church. There's a giant Mary with angels serving her. I mean, this isn't just a difference in height. These are Nephilim, for sure. And I don't see how the imagery could be so consistent across multiple different things if there weren't people that saw this. Here's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And naturally, the Mycenaean jewelry has Freemason symbols on it.
Oh, yes,
another
it
one.
does.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there was multiple things that were like this. Remember we were talking about how like the powdered wig thing and the Nephilim looked like clowns? This guy has hooves.
Oh.
And then here's half man, half goat.
There's the goat.
See the half man, half goat with these people who are like double the size of these people. That's because these are Nephilim. And what do you know? The mythological manticore. I did a video on this. I don't even know what these are. Maybe they're sirens, but I'm showing you because I want to show you the hat. Or whatever it is that's on their heads. Does it look familiar to anybody?
Источник зла – это Бог, не сатана. В иудаизме сатана – это и есть Бог.
There were also sculptures of reptilians walking around. So there's quite a few parallels between the small hats and the Nephilim, and things that make it, in my opinion, plainly obvious that they worship the Nephilim. But here's something even weirder. So Martin Luther wrote a book in the early 1500s called On the Blues and Their Lies. He says that they were arrogant, raving, mad, and using stupid folly, boasting that they were created as males and not as females. They did not learn such tomfoolery from Israel, but from the Goyim, for history records that the Greek Plato daily accorded God such praise and thanksgiving, if such arrogance and blasphemy may be termed praise of God. We have talked about this before. Actual Gentiles were the Greeks, the Nephilim. And remember, Satan and the synagogue of Satan are naturally going to turn all truth upside down. And I showed a clip a while back from Donald's Math Magic Land. It's like a Donald Duck cartoon from, I think, the 50s. And they were talking about how Plato was the first egghead and how he invented like music and mathematics and the globe. And there's very clear, subtle messaging that they were saying that he was like a Nephilim. So let's bring them into it. Notice the hat. Same exact hat as the blues, okay? So I saw this book at the bookstore today, and I got it because it has the Wicker Man, and I thought, maybe that's like the Trojan horse. And you guys know how I am. If I see a story that's like almost the exact same or very, very similar across different cultures, we're looking at it. Because I'm at the point where it's like, everything that they say is a myth or a legend is the truth, and everything that they say is true is a myth. So basically the story goes that the Druids were doing like ancient magic, and they would sacrifice people that disagreed with them by putting them into a giant wicker man and lighting it on fire. That is where the idea of the
Burning Man place things.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
Yeah.
Oh, for crying out loud. I don't know if she's the one that posted or if it was this person, but Rebecca, it says K Podgee, Podgee. I don't know if that's her or what, because I can't see that well.
It's really interesting that she's seen all the statues with 6 fingers and toes, which is the Nephilim. You know, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Burning Man festival seems to come from. But look at this. That is a Pope hat. And then look at this. Same type of creature that I showed you that was in the Mycenaean Museum. We apparently know like nothing about the Druids because we have almost no record. This book is only like 20 pages long. I haven't read it yet, but I just couldn't get over this. And then I started to realize, does anyone remember that the Pope opened that magical door like around Christmas time of this past year? And look at how this year has been. They're definitely partaking in Druid magic. And I personally believe that the Pharisees are the synagogue of Satan, the current day, and that the Sadducees rebranded as the Catholic Church because the Sadducees dissipated about 70 years before the Catholic Church popped up and became a thing, which was like 100 or so years after the crucifixion. So in a nutshell, it very much tracks that the Blues and the Catholics are still together. And Martin Luther seems to have the exact same thing in his head. He puts the papacy right beside the Blues and Islam. So those of you that know about like the Chrislam thing that they're trying to do as like the one world religion, if you know, you know. I truly believe that they are working together and have been for centuries to try to normalize Nephilim worship so that people aren't surprised. Because has anybody ever taken notice of the fact that the Catholic Church was the group that started the globe theory and like evolution because they're ran by Jesuits? And what do we need the globe theory for? To accept the idea of an alien invasion, aka giants in the sky, the Nephilim coming back. Jesus said it would be like the days of Noah. So remember how I showed you that in the museum there was the Mycenaean stuff, so like the Nephilim Babylonian stuff, but also there was multiple different things of Freemason stuff. I just showed you the one picture. There was Freemasonry symbols on everything. Well, Freemasons love the number 33. Numbers 1333. There we saw the Nephilim, and we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. And apparently the Pentagon believes that the Anunnaki are coming back soon. Anunnaki? I know so many of you guys probably have such interesting stuff to add to this, so if you do, please comment it.
Wow.
I like her. Yeah.
Yeah. Norma says she's right. The Vatican has everything, all the truths. Yep.
Yeah.
They sure do.
It's,
Just sneaky little
do your
turds.
research. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, oh, do you know this picture that you sent me was the same picture that they had in the video that we were shown? That we were looking at,
Lilith.
the first one.
Yeah, the night owl.
That one there. Yep. Interesting. But yeah,
I've got a couple things to read, Brenda.
Okay.
A couple things that I found, I screenshotted it, and I'm just going to read it to you. It said, this person was saying, I heard many theories and myths about races and species related to Lilith in some shape or form, like, for examples, the Lilim, succubus / incubus, are created from Lilith and a fallen angel or a demon devil, sometimes all three. Vampire, some stories tell that her children dies and when she gives birth, and in modern times people assume that she used necromancy to bring them back or make a deal with the devil. Other stories tell that vampires burn because Lilith cursed Cain or had children with him. Beast, more or modern thing, some beast, more of a modern thing. Some stories say that things like satyrs, goatmen, and other half human, half animals are her descendants because they have an unnatural lust and desire and strength. I'm trying to while having some emotions like humans. So, and then I sent you that picture, yeah. And then here it says this winged spirit. Hang on a second. Wait. Okay. For 4,000 years, Lilith has wandered the earth, figuring in mythic imaginations of writers, artists, and poets. Her dark origins lie in Babylonian demonology, where amulets and incantations are used to counter her sinister powers of the winged spirit who preyed on pregnant women and infants. Lilith next migrated to the world of the ancient Hittites, Egyptians, Israelites, and Greeks. She makes a solitary appearance in the Bible as a wilderness demon, shunned by the prophet Isaiah in modern ages. She reappears in Jewish sources as a dreadful first wife of Adam. Yeah.
Hey, Chad.
So those are a couple things that I had, wanted to read about her. Yeah.
So she obviously still hangs around and causes mischief.
and makes a lot of demons.
Yeah. Makes a lot of
Hundreds a
demons.
day. A
So,
day.
so I thought back when the Pope did open that door that he was probably not supposed to, or it hadn't been open in decades.
No. I think he was supposed to because that's what they do, Brenda.
Well, yeah, I guess. They open things and let the demons out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because ever since then, just shit
Kind of
has rolled
things got
downhill.
yeah, it does seem like things got a little bit more demonic. It's like what I see, it's like there's a big influx of a lot of people doing very demonic things to each other.
Lot of,
More
lot of
than
anger.
normal. More than normal.
Yes. And
Yeah,
there's
the
been a lot
kind
of
of
anger.
things.
And
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it is they're not hiding any of it anymore. Now they're just, they feel untouchable and they're just
There's so many demons. It's how do you
they're not
control that many
keeping it
demons? How do you control that many demons?
right.
Literally. It's like it's like having an army of demons to battle. How do you battle an army of demons?
Right. I just seen something out of the corner of my eye and I turned around and there was somebody here and now they're gone. Where'd they go?
Good or bad?
I don't think it was bad. It just might have been somebody floating through, I guess. I don't know. Looking, going the wrong direction. Oops, I don't belong here. I hate when that happens. Kind of makes me think somebody's sneaking around. What do you want?
Might be a remote viewer.
No, they leave like they have like little wavy water things around them when I see them if there's somebody remote viewing. It's
Yeah.
like everybody that does that, don't remote view me.
Yeah.
I'll know you're here. No, blast the passerby, I guess. Because if they need me, they'll come back.
Well, I think that what we need to do is we all need to be, aware that this is the hand that this world has dealt us, and that we need to be in prayer. We need to be
Yeah,
praying because it does seem like these things are more dangerous and more out there and more uh, ramping up. You know, yeah.
Norma, right? Norma says,
What?
but at least you're dressed.
Do what?
That's true. Norma said, Brenda, at least you're dressed. Yeah, I hate when
Yeah.
something like that happens.
Right?
Todd. And it has happened.
Right?
I mean, you just have no privacy in your life when you know these things are around you and you can see them. You just have no privacy. You just give that all up. That just goes all away. Doesn't matter. Does it? You be sitting on the toilet and people decide they want to stop by and find out where they are. Well, right now you're in my bathroom and you might want to get out.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be entertaining anybody in the bathroom. Yeah.
Right? The only person that comes in the bathroom with me is my. You know what? I found out why dogs go in the bathroom with you.
You know, a lot
Because
of dark people pray on the toilet because it's a dirty place,
well,
and they call up demons. Yeah.
I found out why dogs go, like your dogs that are attached to you, why they go in the bathroom with you. Because even out in the wild, in like a wolf pack, they never go off to go to the bathroom alone because they feel like you are in a vulnerable state. So there's always someone there to protect you. Well, I see that when I go to the bathroom and Putin follows me in there because he will like stand guard. And if Tucker tries to come in there, he nips at him and growls at him, makes him leave. So when I found that out, I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Huh. So yeah, that's my little bathroom guard. Hey, Steve. So that's my little bathroom guard. He stands guard at the door. Doesn't want the cat in there. He don't let nobody in there. It's like, I am here, mommy. He thinks he's so big. I'm glad that he's not like some German Shepherd or something with this attitude, because I'd be in a world of trouble.
Teach him
But
to go after all those stray beings that are bothering you.
yeah, they give me a headache. I think Abe and I were talking about it the other night, because ever since that red moon or blood moon or whatever it was that we had 2 weeks ago, I was really drained, not feeling good, all this stuff. The same thing with him. We were both having the same thing. And he said, ever since that moon, I said, I know, right? So I made an appointment with my doctor, but I can't get in to see him till the 7th, because I've been having some issues and I want to know what's going on. So he's going to have to run me some tests, man. But yeah, so I know now, I can tell Abe that his little succubuses are Lilith,
Lilitus, the Lilitus,
the Lilitus, the Lillos, whatever they call them.
the Lilums. Yeah.
The Lilums. Yeah, that's it, the Lilums. So, yeah, because
The
everything that he
hags.
talks, yes, everything that he has seen or that he describes, um, certain pictures that he takes, that's her,
Yeah.
the screeching owl sounds, the shape shifting, all that stuff.
Well, that's like the Loki's daughter, Hel. They gave her the name of Lilith. She's a comes from a giant. And she was the first uh, demoness type female. That rules over hell and all of
Is
that
she
realm.
running around having hundreds of babies a day? I mean, who does this? No wonder why they're all mean and demons. Could you imagine? That would be the quickest birthing cycle ever.
Well, if think about how they're saying. So they're collecting semen and eggs and mixing it with their own. Okay, so it's kind of like, think about a laboratory when they do a lot of artificial insemination, or they do a lot of you were talking about Cabbage Patch babies. What if they
Yeah.
were what if they were like Lilith
Lilith children.
babies? Yeah, what if they were somehow,
Wow. I never thought of it like that. But then again, they were cute and people wanted to adopt them. So what they do,
well,
get them, take them home, and they ate their parents.
they could look like, I mean, they're human, right? So maybe I don't know. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's possible, because, in that boys from Brazil, they were taking Hitler's DNA and putting in an egg and then making a bunch of Hitler babies. So
Right.
what if Lilith is somehow, this girl was talking about the six-fingered people. What if they'd been making these? What if, you got the alien abductions and they're collecting eggs and semen? People are
Well,
having all these space babies, and what if it's all kind of
now
tied in together?
now I will tell you from working in a hospital experience that I know that there's been babies that have been born with, like six fingers. I know people that were born like that, and then they ended up taking off the extra pinky because it really couldn't do anything. It didn't move. And tails.
Yeah.
There are some babies that are born with tails, and they remove those.
It can definitely be some DNA manipulation going on there causing this stuff, you know.
Well, Moesha, you had 6 babies in 6 years. Well, yes, girl. But
Well, that's pretty good.
that's not having hundreds of babies a day.
Don't recommend it.
I would not be.
Hey,
I would want every man to stay anywhere away from me. Don't
that'd be
even
like
look at
that's a
me.
quick way
Look
to
at
have a big
me.
family right away, right?
Oh my
That's pretty
God.
cool though.
Uh,
You know, get it done right away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I got it done. You know.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, not the hundreds of babies a day. No, no.
But if you can take, well, like, you know, I know like for a horse, they can only flush about 8 eggs or so from a mare, but you can collect hundreds of sperm, you know, from the male.
Right.
So, I mean, but, you know, they can only get like 6 eggs from one female. So, you know, got to do the math. You can only have 6 kids, you know, 1 year, right? But yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy to think. So she would definitely be creating, um, you know, what if these creatures are walking amongst us and they're really, you know, got a
Well,
lot of this Lilum DNA in them, you know?
there are a lot of things that walk amongst us. Um,
Yeah.
some people may know, some people they may walk by, some people may get a feeling. Um, you know, uh, and a lot of times though, people who know, watch them. If you're ever someplace and you get a feeling like somebody's around you and they're not right, watch what they do. Look at them because they'll know automatically that you know there's something about them and they'll look at you. You know, I mean, it happens to me all the time, and it's I have had to adapt and learn to not ignore the things around me, but I know they're there, but I'm not going to sit there and stare them down and follow them or anything like that. I have to learn to keep my composure because you definitely don't want something shape shifting in public because that, especially like, let's say you're at a crowded Walmart or a crowded mall and you want to confront something because you know it's not right. Don't do it inside. Wait till you go outside because you do something like that in a crowded store. What are you going to do? You're going to cause havoc. You know, it's going to be a free for all. So it wouldn't be a very good thing. So I kind of just
How would you confront it, Brenda? I mean, like if you're talking about, I mean, what do you?
outside. I've
I
done
mean,
that
what would you
before.
say?
I
What would you
tell them
say?
I know who you are. I know what you are. Leave
Yeah, and
people
then
here
what?
alone. I tell them to leave people here alone. And they usually will walk away real fast. They usually leave. When they know that you know, they usually will leave because they don't
Usually,
want to be ousted either. You know, a lot of them, there are people that walk around that have jobs. You could be working with them. It could be somebody who's checking you out in a grocery store. You know, it could be the mechanic that's working on your car. They try to be as normal as possible. So they don't want any heat brought their way. Let's put it that way. When it's time for them to flare up, then I'm pretty sure they'll do it. You know, but they won't be alone when they do it. I think that everything that is demonic in nature or everything that is amongst us, I think that they have to be in groups. Um, there is too much meanness in this world. Because let's face it, our people, a lot of them, I mean, look at the mess that's going on now. These little demonic people talking crap about Charlie Kirk. You know what, though?
Yeah.
They might do that because they got that TikTok going. But they would never do that standing in front of people in public. Not unless they were in a large group. They would be a lot quieter. That's why they get these riots going and these, things that these people are doing. They're supposed to be peacefully protesting. Well, a lot of them throwing stuff and yelling and screaming is not peaceful protesting. I got news for people. Apparently, they don't know how it's done. But
No.
they act like that because they're in a group of people, and all it takes is one person to get them riled up, and they're all popping off. And it's ridiculous. I just can't anymore with people. I'm just to that point. I worked around a lot of people all the time. I've worked where I have been around every walk of life, and I am just at that point in my life right now where if I could sit in a rocking chair on a porch somewhere out in the middle of the country, that's exactly what I would be doing. Staring at nothing. Clouds, grass, trees.
Nature. Yeah.
Yes. Because people in the way that they act now, it just disappoints me that, and I love this. People that hate America, why are you here? You think it's easier to live somewhere else? Go. You'll want to come back, so don't renounce your citizenship if you do. Because people think that it's so much easier to go and live in a different country. You want to sit here and defend everything that's happening with the people that are here that aren't supposed to be here. Go over there with them. Go ahead.
You know what I find interesting, Brenda, is that girl said that the Catholic Church has all these statues with 6 fingers. Like they're worshiping the Nephilim, literally.
Yeah. They've been covering up a lot of the things that they do for many, many years. And they always have, and because, well, nobody questions them. Why? Because it's the Vatican. It's the Pope, the Holy of Holy. Holy butthole. I don't think so. Because I'm sorry, you may be the Pope, but you still put your pants on the same way I do. Yep. And the fact of the matter that they have been hiding and lying to all of us for so long, many years. They lied to our parents. They lied to our parents' parents. It's like America, well, maybe not even just America, maybe the world. The world has been built on nothing but lies and deceit. For how long? They used to sit there and say that all those paintings that they found on the inside of the pyramids and different stuff like that, that they were fictional characters. I don't believe that. I believe that the person that walked around with a bird head, they were gods, like they felt they were. But I think that they were actually the way people were back then. I think that they were shape-shifting little creatures like we have now. You just can't walk around in that form nowadays because, well, people will try to slay you because they have no idea what you are. People nowadays, they don't like different. Yeah. So they would be harmed. They would be in harm's way. I've got the worst pain in my head.
Strange world we live in. Strange world for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it would be stranger if people walked around and they were half human, half bird, and it was okay with everybody that they walked around like a half human, half cat. I mean,
Yeah.
but I think that back then, in those days, it was like a normal thing. But were they an alien race? Were they Lilith's kids?
You're right.
What exactly were they?
Well, it talked about demon goats too, demon lilims and demon goats, and Pan.
Think about all of the stuff that people see
Human
nowadays.
goat.
Think about this. Okay, so we have
And
figured
Pan
out.
was alive during Christ. You know that he was actually
Yeah.
alive. Yeah, during Christ. Pan,
So
a goat man.
we have figured out that the succubus that people see is actually Lilith or her offspring. But
Yeah.
then we have like the one fairy tale everybody tells, or the one thing, the goat man.
Well, okay, so Wycliffe, who was a great uncle, Brenda, who wrote the Wycliffe Bible, William Wycliffe was one of my uncles. His sister Margaret was a grandmother. He said, in the translation, he called her Lemura or something, right? Or something like
Right.
that. Well, that was the name of the Anunnaki's daughter, Anu. His daughter was her. Okay. So that would mean if that was his daughter, then that means that Adam was his creation, and he made her Lemura, whatever her name was, and so I mean it was like they were trying to create this human slash shape shifting creature, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody had to make them somewhere. I'm pretty sure it wasn't
Yeah.
David Copperfield.
He might be one of them. He might be related.
Magically appeared. My gosh. Okay, guys. Let me see, what time is it? I don't even know. I can't see. I'm blind. I'm so blind. I've got to get with Chad on our next show. Suzy, have you checked the weather for next weekend? Are you guys going to try to go to a show next weekend?
I don't know. I was hoping it was going to be nice for the last 2 weeks, and it's been hot as a dickens.
Hey, if that lady comes and buys your property and you get that indoor thing, boy, you just have your shows right there. You don't have to go anywhere.
Right. AC.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
That's it.
Set up for shows, and we can sit outside and hand out tickets like they're going out of style. Then I could actually watch them because I don't have to go anywhere. Yeah. How cool would that be?
That'll keep you entertained.
Yeah. I'm not here to talk to nobody. I just want to look at the horses and watch them do their jobs. Hi, Ivy. So, but all right, guys.
Hey, everybody.
If you're not, this is what I found out today, because I talked to the guy over at that one podcast, Traveling Fools, and he told me, because he was subscribed to our channel, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. But YouTube does that. They'll take off. They'll like drop somebody's subscription here and there. So if you're not getting the notifications, go back in and check and see if you are subscribed, because you may have unsubscribed, or not you, but YouTube may have unsubscribed you. Yeah, that one time Norma kept having problems, and I told her, well, go and unsubscribe and resubscribe and see if that helps. And it was
Oh,
helping for a while. So I just wanted to let
wow.
everybody know if for any reason you're not getting notifications whenever we
Is
go live,
Norma's in here,
check it.
right? Hi,
Yeah, Norm's
Norma.
here.
Okay.
Norm
Yeah.
is here. Let's see
I
if I
say,
missed
okay.
anybody.
Chad,
Ivy.
Brad, Ivy.
Oh,
Let's
Scott
see.
was
I
in
see
here.
Steve.
I didn't even see
Scott.
Scott.
Hey, Scott.
Steve. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I get so focused on what I'm trying to talk about, I kind of have a hard time keeping up with everybody in there.
I
Uh,
I don't know. I can't see
Rebecca.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. I do everything I can to
Monica.
not squint when
Yeah.
I see people. Monisha's in here. Yeah. Yep. Yay. But anyways, all right, guys. Well, we are running out of time, so we're gonna get out of here. And like I said, watch the notifications for to come in. I gotta talk to Chad because of what I got going on tomorrow. Um, and I've been so glad. Ooh, I've been so happy. I've just been tired. That's all. So, but starting to feel a little bit better. It's just, it's so hard. And I do think that y'all are right that I do have mold in that wall. And that's why I've been so bad. But my doctor's going to do a couple of mold tests on me
That'd be good.
on the 7th when I go in to go see him. And then he can tell me what kind it is and how bad it is. And he said, be prepared if it's black mold, you need to get out of there and go to a hotel until you start feeling better. And they need to come and fix the problem. So
Yeah.
I don't
Good.
know
Good.
what's going on, but I'm sure I can get something from him, a letter from him or something, and maybe they can get on it and
Yeah.
fix it. Took them 3 years to fix the leak that caused it, so I can only
Yeah.
imagine how long it's going to take for them to fix it.
Right.
It's
Crazy.
crazy because even the animals have been acting weird. My cat has been wanting to love on me. That
Well,
never
that's a good
happens. That
thing.
never. She has me worried for a little while there. She comes over and wants to love on me, and I'm over here checking my pulse.
Ready for her to bite you
Am
or
I,
something? Yeah.
am I still alive? Yeah, she does. In the middle of the night, I'll be sitting here watching a video or watching a show or something, and she will get up here and she'll just want to love on me, and that's not her. So, and then the dogs. Well, I can't go by Tucker because Tucker's my little Riri. So, he does weird things anyways. But even Poot's been up my hiney so bad. I mean, more than ever. I can't do anything. If I just go in the kitchen to get water, he's staring me down and watching every move I make and running down next to me, and it's like, wow. So I don't know what's going on in this house, but it sure is freaking everybody in and out. So I've had about enough of it. Ha. So, but all right, everybody, we're gonna go. Y'all have a good
Good night,
night.
everybody.
Be safe, and like always, everybody, please be kind to one another. You guys have a good night.